Notice if, like, standing by this tree and putting your hand on the bark of the tree, if you feel titillated or turned on by that in some way.
Is there something about nature that titillates you?
For me, it's just like my feet in the ocean, and closing my eyes and just being there, like I feel it in my entire body, like not just, I allow it to come up from my feet, just sort of like rise up through my entire body, through all my chakras, and I feel connected to the entire world when I'm doing that.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Beducated.com, the masterclass platform to perfect your techniques, whether you're working on penis massage or anal orgasms. Use promo code MANWHORE to get 40% off their annual membership, locked in for life, at Beducated.com. That's Beducated, BEDUCATED.com, promo code MANWHORE. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Shout out to the ecosexuals, the sapiosexuals, the sapphosexuals, and the fiscal sexuals. That last one is when I just wrap a $100 bill around my cock and beat it. This is Billy Procida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Hey, does capitalism make you wet? Girl, log off. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm way too jazzed for a Tuesday morning in a monkeypoxed city, but here we are. This week on the show, I have got on Stefanie Weiss, talking about ecosexuality and sex-based environmentalism. We got a note for AOC and Lizzie, if they're listening. Been waiting to get her on for quite some time, so I'm very excited to share this conversation with y'all in a little bit. But first, monkeypox. I'm officially freaked out. As someone who frequently attends group sex events where I may or may not be rubbing up against or nearby men who have sex with other men, or play with women who have sex with men who have sex with men, officially freaked by the monkeypox. I'm not going to attempt to inform y'all too much because I'm just a comedian with a fuck show. What do I know? But I am going to put some links in the show notes. And if you have not been following this new outbreak, please read. Okay, as Dan Savage said in an emergency Savage Lovecast last Wednesday. Yeah, I said Wednesday. I've been listening to that show for over a decade. The man's never gone out of schedule. But he was like, you bitches need to pull your pants up for 3 weeks. And if you have the ability to get a monkeypox vaccine, which is very safe, please get it. It's not like new and experimental. We have had these vaccines for like a very long time. We just usually don't need them. But here we are. Also, here we are in August. That's rude. Why? Why is it August? It was April, like just yesterday. I was in Jamaica in January. That didn't feel like too long ago. Oh my. But you know what August does bring is football's coming back up. And, we do have a Fan Whore Fantasy Football League we're trying to fill up again. So if you're interested, we do a $30 buy-in for the league. Shoot me an email at manwhorepod@gmail.com. If you're interested, shoot me that email ASAP. We plan to draft at the end of the month. See, I made that whole sports ball part really short. I know who my audience is. I know there's not a lot of jerseys among my listeners. At least I have a good feeling. I watched this movie a few nights ago. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Good Luck Leo Grand. It's on Hulu, starring Emma Thompson. And this young cat is like a new talent type. And it's about an older woman, a widow, who hires a male escort. And it highlighted a lot of like the anti-sex work talking points in a similar way that I try to debunk shit when I see dumb things said on Twitter, which is just like, why can't I sell my dick? So Emma Thompson's character, she keeps throwing all these alarmist questions or concerns his way. Oh my, are you being trafficked? Do you feel exploited? Do you feel disrespected? Do you secretly have a bunch of trauma? Like, were you molested? All that, and he's just got smooth ass answers to everything. For one thing, we don't normally think about male escorts when we think about sex workers, and especially not male escorts who get hired by women. And when I see discourse on Twitter here and there, and people are talking about trafficking and how sex work is demeaning and no one should be able to do that, and I go like, They're always thinking about women and girls. And since we don't make laws based on gender, or at least we're not supposed to, I just keep going back to like, why can't I sell my dick? Are you worried about me getting trafficked or whatever? Okay, so then sex work's not the issue. Sounds like scary men is the issue. Which, by the way, the movie also points out, hey, women be scary too. I got those stories as well. I think this might be one of the best movies of the year. I think it nailed sex work. Good luck, Leo Grand. It's on Hulu. But an upcoming movie night I'm excited to announce is our third ever hot movie night. Yes, I want y'all to save the date. I want you to put it in your iCal, your GCal, a post-it note on your computer screen, whatever you do. I don't know, write down on your arm if you're like me. August 25th, that's a Thursday night, August 25th, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We're having another hot movie night for my Patreon community in the Champagne Room. Hot Movie Night is a special monthly event we've been doing in the Champagne Room, which is our Discord server, free to join at manwhorepod.com/Discord, link in the show notes. But once a month, we've been watching porn together in a patron-only channel in the Champagne Room. It's been very fun. It's kind of like Mystery Science Theater, but horny. My main rule is, no genitals on your screen and no talking during the dialogue, okay? There is a plot I'm trying to follow here. We've been watching narrative-driven, character-developing retro porns. So your first step is to save the date in your calendar, August 25th, 10 p.m. Eastern. Second step is to join the Champagne Room. There's a link in the show notes. Discord is fucking awesome. And then the third step is you need to become a member of the Patreon community. You need to be a part of Fan Whore Nation. So you can join us for the hot movie night for just $2 at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. We would love for you to watch some porn with us later this month. One person I hope will be joining us is the recipient of this week's Fan Whore Appreciation Moment. Hey, I want to give a shout out right now and a big old sloppy wet thank you to Isaac Villalobos. Isaac, thank you for supporting the Man Whore podcast with your doll hairs. I hope you are not the Isaac Villalobos who recently was convicted of manslaughter. But if you are, then hey, thank you for sending me some of your commissary money to support the show when you could have used that to buy, I don't even know how many fruit cups. So thank you for your membership. I hope you're possibly a different guy. And I hope I'll be seeing you and hearing from you on August 25th at the Hot Movie Night. One more time, you can support the podcast you love and gain access to wonderful sex-positive community at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, P-A-T-R-E, you know the letters, on.com/Man the Whore Podcast. It's just Man Whore. Why am I being weird? Man Whore Podcast, not Man the Whore Podcast. Man the Whore that sounds like the Twitter handle of a bot pretending to be me, which I hear is the sign of making it when bots are pretending to be you. Anyways, this week's guest is not a bot. She's very real, talking about real issues like the fact that dildos don't recycle. Did y'all not realize this? It's a problem. Why is that not in the Green New Deal? We're going to talk about it. Stefanie Weiss, I've been following her for many years. I love her on Twitter, not just for what she shares about ecosexuality, but I love a good feminist or political ranter. And Stefanie, on occasion, is both those things. I am going to just give y'all a heads up. Stefanie requested, due to BA5 being in the house, she requested that we do the recording outdoors. So she picked a nice little park in the West Village. And you will, from time to time, hear some sounds of New York City. Nothing that should really interrupt your flow of listening, but you'll hear some birds chirping. You might hear a car drive by once in a blue moon. But it's an appropriate environment to talk to the eco lady, but I also didn't want y'all to be confused. Anyways, let's go talk about some inconvenient truths with Stefanie Weiss. It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout. Now let's get to the show. Well, Stefanie Weiss, hello.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, I think this is a very appropriate setting for like the eco-sex lady to
Yeah.
also talk about like in a nice little park in the West Village where all these beautiful flowers and
Yes.
dedicated benches for dead people, you know.
And we can smell the beautiful greenery, and it's really, really nice.
Yeah. I remember when I first reached out to you, I was like, hey, I just learned that dildos don't recycle.
Yeah.
What are we doing about it?
Yeah, nothing.
Does he know? I don't know. Does anybody have an answer? I
don't
know.
think he knows.
You don't know? What's the question? Oh, do you know that like you can't recycle? There's no recycling plan for vibrators.
Really?
You never thought
They
about
just
it?
get thrown in the landfill.
They're just sitting there. It's just going to be like roaches and like bad jelly vibes, like when the world ends. That bothers me. Write your congressman. we got to get a plan.
I know. We need to go out and tell the world about this. It's important.
Yeah. Does Lizzie have a plan for that? You know, our girl Lizzie. I heard you're a Warren stan.
Oh, I love her.
I'm a big
I
fan.
adore her. She's not my only favorite, but I would go to AOC with this.
You would?
I feel like she would be, she would be cool with it. Like she would have the conversation.
Well, she'd be cool and have a conversation, and she would like know about the various vibrators we're talking about. But I feel like Lizzie would know like how like institutionally what to do.
Oh, yes. Ideally, I would have them both in on the conversation.
I mean, remember that like that rumor that was out there? They were trying to tank Warren's campaign.
Yes,
by being like,
because of her husband's legs, right? Was that what it was?
you tell me.
Oh
What'd you
God,
have?
Bruce, her husband, and his legs. She was like, well, when I met Bruce, I instantly fell in love with him because he had great legs, and I was like, that's how I know she's my girl.
You're like a guy with some leg?
It's not even that I'm a leg person. It's more that I was like, that she was just telling us this information about her sexual predilections. I was like, thank you, Liz.
Well, during the 2020 primaries, there was this rumor got leaked out that Elizabeth Warren cheated on her man with some like Marine.
A sex worker. Was he a sex worker? Or was he?
I don't remember, but I remember it's like he's a Marine and buff and young, and like she was into BDSM, and I'm like, what do you want us to vote for her twice?
I know. I was like, yes, girl. I hope it's true.
Yeah, it's like they're only making her cooler. I don't know why you think that's going to be like a low level thing.
Right?
Yeah, so that's my girl. So I don't know. I feel like her, AOC, come together.
Yeah. It should be a plank in the Green New Deal. It really should be. And I'm not even joking. And people have been working on it for years.
Yeah.
There's I think it's in Minneapolis, a sex shop called Smitten Kitten. I don't know if it still exists, but when I wrote Ecosex, that was the first place where I sort of, did this research and found out about it. And they were trying to create a sex toy recycling kind of venture. And they kept running up against how difficult it was, once you get to the landfill stage, even if you break them down and you submit them in different parts, it was just, they found it impossible. So they disbanded it. And people get excited and start one and then it gets disbanded.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it about dildos, vibrators, sex toys? Like, what is it about that? Like, we can't mash it down, melt it down, and create new recycled?
Because
I have a notebook in my bag right now that is like made from recycled paper.
Right. I mean, it's because of the different component parts, because the part ideally that touches your skin is, body grade silicone or, some other not made of plastic with phthalates, right? But inside the mechanism, there's going to be plastic, there's going to be metal. You have to, they're mostly powered by USB now, right? So like all these components of the mechanics of it are made of different materials and they're really difficult to take apart. So it's really, it's on the manufacturers to begin to develop technology that they can be easily dismantled so they can be recycled in the main. So I think I want to say Weiss, some venture similar to Weiss. A journalist reached out to me maybe last year to cover it, and he basically was like, all his research, uncovered the same thing. No, really, like there's no There's nothing good happening here.
And
Still, after all this time, yeah. So what that means for us as consumers is basically when you're shopping for vibrators, make sure you get one that will last for 20 years. And those do exist, right? So you don't have to keep. You used to buy a vibrator and you would throw it away because it was a piece of shit that you bought in a sex shop in Times Square, and and it was made of plastic, and it was bad for your body, and it was bad for the environment, and it would kink out. And now you can buy really good, well-made, a little bit more expensive, but worth it vibrators, all kinds of sex toys that will last a long time, thankfully.
And not only are they a little more expensive, it's, people go like, oh, it's more expensive. You can finance like everything now.
Yeah.
Like one of my longtime sponsors, MotorBunny.com, use promo code ManWhore for $50 off. The Motor Bunny, you can finance it. It's like a $1,100 vibrator.
Yes.
But like you can get your payments down like $15, $20 a month.
That's like the Rolls Royce.
Right.
Of sex toys,
That is,
seriously. And I'm not making any money off of that. I'm just saying that.
And I have 2 of them. Hey. And so it's just like you can finance anything. Like you want to. I've been to like a Best Buy and they're like, "Do you want to finance this Bluetooth speaker for $2 a month?" I'd be like, I don't know who needs that service.
No, you can finance like lipstick now, which I think is not such a great trend. Like, I feel like a lot of people are doing that. I can't think of the name of it, but like whenever you go on any retail website, they're like, pay for this $20 thing in 4 payments. It's like,
who's that hard pressed?
I mean, I think there are some people that are that hard pressed in the world that we're living in right now, but yeah, I don't know if that kind of financing is so good for us. I feel like a lot of people are running into debt because like they, interests on something like that, and then they don't pay it, and they do it, during a month when it's lean, and then next month they're like, oh shit, I'm in all this debt.
Well, one of the ways I've done ad reads for the Motor Bunnies, I said finance it just for the potential repo man situation in the future.
Right. You want to record that.
Yeah.
You want to like make a video of that and put that up on TikTok when they're coming for your.
Some dude with a clipboard and just like a beige vest. He's just like, yeah, I'm here for a fuck machine.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. So it's just like, so it's just wild. So what you're saying, one of the things we can do is just like, get something a little better.
Yeah.
It's going to feel a little pricier.
Yeah. It's a do your research kind of thing. Like, you just look at reviews, see what people say, know your body, know what you like to feel, what kind of stimulation you like, and then invest in it.
Yeah.
And I would say also, on the eco-friendly sex toy, front, it's not just toys with vibration, but they're glass and wood dildos. Those are recyclable, right? So you can get those too. Those are a lot of fun.
I think Shock Rubs is one of those.
Shock Rubs is another one. Yeah, I love that brand.
Yeah, I think I had the owner on for a bonus episode many years back.
Yeah.
Vanessa, right? And
yeah,
talked about all the stones, and I was like, that
Beautiful.
Obsidian. I was like, what's that about? What energy am I harnescing with an obsidian butt plug? I'd like to find out one day.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
Well, how'd you get so interested in such things?
So this goes back a long way. So like I've always been a hippie, as you can kind of see.
Okay.
And I, have been environmentally aware since college, like my first, Earth Day, sophomore year of college in Central Park. Like
saw Inconvenient Truth and you were like, we got to make science.
This was before Inconvenient Truth. I am old as fuck. So anyway, I, have always been an environmentalist and have been thinking about climate change for many, many years. And always was kind of like the person amongst my friend group who everyone came to with sex questions. Like, this is long
and it's
before I
because
wrote
you were
the book.
putting off like hippie vibes. Is that why? Because there's always that friend, but there's something about that friend that makes them think. Like in college, a lot of kids would come up to me and like because they thought I could get like I knew where you could get like hard drugs.
Right.
I smoke pot now, but like I didn't even smoke pot. I didn't do any drugs.
Right, and they were just like, "That's the guy."
What was it about
That's the
me
guy
that
to
gave
get
like
us a bag of
tweaker energy? They're like that dude knows. I had a kid ask me for where I could get where you could get heroin.
What did you say to him?
I was like, one, I was like, what the fuck about me made you think I know where to get that? And two, let me text somebody and see what I can find. It's like, yes, I knew someone I could text who could text somebody, but also like, why me?
That's
I don't
hilarious.
put off that energy. I thought,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I look always coked out. I don't get it. So but people were like, we go to Stefanie for the sex questions.
Always. Like that was just what evolved. I think it's just because I was brought up in a way where I was, we talked openly about like, the body. Like there was not a lot of shame in my household. So it was always easy for me to talk about.
Are you from California?
No, I'm from Long Island, New York.
Oh, okay.
Long Island.
Okay.
Just a nice Jewish girl from Long Island.
Well,
first of all, my parents were true hippies. Like my parents owned a head shop in the 60s and 70s. So that may be part of it. But I mean, but then they moved to the suburbs and they were just kind of like regular people and got real jobs. But anyway, no, I was raised, in this way where there was no, like we called body parts what they were and, had open conversations, which is not... maybe like more religious Orthodox Jews, that's far less common, but like, just like regular, liberal Jews. Yeah. So anyway, so I was that person from my friend group. And these two things just sort of, I'm making my living as a writer for a long time. And these two things sort of just converged at one point where I was like, like all of my friends who are finally now having some kind of environmental consciousness, like they're like, maybe I'll buy an electric car, or like, here's my like, not a plastic bag tote. You know what I mean? Like people were starting to think about it. It was becoming culturally, maybe it was trendy, I don't know. But I was noticing that people were paying attention to the environment a little bit more, and that pleased me. And then I started asking questions like, well, but what about your lube?
What about the lube?
Like, tell me about what kind of lube you use. Like, tell me about the sex toys that you use. And I just started looking at all of this and realizing at the time, and this was like, the late aughts, right? Okay. Like, so this is like, 2008-9 when I started researching this book and pitched this book, and I found that there was this glaring omission, and like you could be environmentally friendly in all these ways, but when it came to your sex life, the things that you needed to buy to facilitate your sex life, these options didn't really exist. There was like one organic lube on the market. And now it's completely changed, right? And, and also
it's
like...
in vogue now.
It is. I mean, there are so many organic lubes now that like I'm not even... aware of all of the different brands, and I was tracking it for many years, more and more all the time. So that's kind of how I came to it. I was like, oh, this is one arena in environmentalism that is not yet covered.
And it's not covered because like we're so uptight about sex in the first place.
Precisely.
Like there's a big problem, but it involves sex shit. So it's like, we'll just let it keep being a problem. Whether
Precisely.
It's like, the environmentally unfriendly dildos or like sexual assault, they're like, we could fix it, but we'd have to talk about that thing that makes me feel weird.
Exactly. And that was, I wanted to just smash that shame. So I figured that would be a good way to do it. So that's how the book was born. And, the ecosexual movement is far more than just like what I cover, in the book, which is holistic sexuality, how to have sex in a green way, in an environmentally friendly way. I became friends even before my book came out with Annie Sprinkle.
I was going to bring her up.
Yeah, who was like my long time like hero who I knew of and studied in like, feminist art classes in college. She walked into my publisher was in San Francisco, and of course, and she walked into the office and like gave them some stickers that said like, ecosexual, and she said, and my editor emailed me and said, Annie Sprinkle was here and, wants to talk to you. So then we traded emails and then she and her partner Beth and I all became friends, and we've done events together. They're amazing. They're doing this weekend a wedding to fire. This is this whole other beautiful part of ecosexuality that I hadn't conceived of when I thought that I would, that writing this book was a good idea. Yeah. So it was nice to have my mind blown open that way.
and when you were doing all that research, like, do you remember when you first just became even cognizant of like there were things at large going on? Do you remember like one of the early things that like blew your mind? You were like, what the fuck?
Whew. I mean, it may seem boring, but like the lube thing really, really did blow my mind. Like that, it was just.
What's wrong with the lubes?
Well, at the time, this is no longer the case, but at the time,
is my Uber lube okay?
What?
Is my Uber Lube okay?
Uber
Do I have to feel
Uber
bad?
Lube is good for silicone.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's like, you know, for those uses, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
It's not my personal favorite. Like, ideally for me, organic, aloe-based, you know, but it depends on what you're doing.
I mean, for masturbation, I don't want to feel guilty.
No reason to feel guilty.
Yeah,
no reason
it's
to
like
feel guilty.
I took the guilt out of the masturbation already. I don't need to put it back in with what type of lube I've got. So it's like, I'll switch. I don't.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, you know, if it's for just for masturbation purposes, using an aloe-based organic lube is probably better for your
What about
body.
coconut oil?
Coconut oil is great.
Sick.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
great.
It's
'Cause
great.
That's
I mean,
the fave.
the only issue with coconut oil is like, you know, how far it has to travel in terms of its environmental footprint, because we don't grow coconuts
Okay, so
really
if I
here,
wanna
like
be-
on the mainland.
If I want to get even more conscious about it, I got to find as locally sourced coconut oil as possible.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to find locally sourced coconut oil in New York, but
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, it's all like a good, better, best kind of game that you're playing when you're trying to make the best choice. And I want to say this, like, my caveat to all of this, like, this is like consumer level environmentalism.
Yeah. Which is what most of us can even do in the first, you know.
Right. And I mean, like, what matters more is what the motherfuckers in Washington do or don't do. Let us pray on Joe Manchin telling us the truth about what he's said he's doing this week, and Kristen Sinema agreeing to doing it so we can get somewhere. But my point is that, you know, is that what they do, what you know, petrochemical, you know, corporations do, what Exxon does, what all of those companies, what Saudi Arabia does, what they do matters more than what we do at the consumer level. And in some ways, you know, putting it on us is like a way of making us feel guilty and responsible.
And we forget about what that big factory is spewing out there. So do you think that by talking about environmentalism through these sex-based topics, you're like sprinkling a bit of sexy on an otherwise unsexy topic of environmentalism that maybe gets people to pay attention?
Totally. Of course. That's
like they
what I
don't
was
care about the
thinking.
dolphins, but like, well, vibrators, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. Oh my God. I believe that my work has brought some people into the fold who wouldn't have been in the fold if I didn't make it. I mean, like, you know, it's a sex sells thing in a way, right? Like, if I'm doing sex sells for good to make the planet safer, then yes.
And, you know, and besides lube, like what sort of shifts, adjustments, consumer-wise have you made in your life?
Well, you know, actually, I'm thinking about your question again from a couple of minutes ago, and the thing that I can't believe I didn't remember this before. But yeah, the thing that blew my mind more than anything else was less of a consumer-based thing and more about our carbon legacy as human beings whenever we have a child. It's something like 9...
Are you about to talk about babies as pollution?
Kinda. But I'll say this. I mean, this is the big deal. This
A lot
is
of
like...
defensive parents listening right now.
Sorry. I mean, this is, you know, this is my decision.
Your kid is garbage. No, I'm sorry. I didn't say that's the guy
I
behind it.
love all children. The children are our future, but there will be no future if we don't, right? Like, there will be no future for our sex lives or for our children if we don't fix this shit now, right? But yeah, no, but when I learned about like the whole concept of the carbon legacy, like the amount of like metric tonnage that we all leave behind for every child that we have, actually helped me decide not to have children. I'm not even kidding. I mean, I think this was the biggest way that I was impacted by the research that I did. I was reading really depressing stuff about the inevitability of climate change. And I was like, oh, so if I have a child in the next 5 years, they will definitely be running from floods and fires and, you know, won't be able to live in the places where I was raised because those places will be underwater. Shit.
Yeah.
There was that. And there was also like, okay, you know what? I'm personally okay with not adding to the, you know, metric the tonnage of my, you know, my climate legacy. You know, I could adopt. I would be happy to be a stepmom, and like none of
You
those things
have
have
stepmom
happened.
vibes.
Do
You
I
have-
really?
You got some strong stepmom vibes.
But like
that,
a good stepmom, not a
that
mean
also
one.
like that also just might be Long Island.
Right,
Like Long
like we're all
Island is
like
kind of
little
a
stepmoms.
huge stepmom vibe, like as a community.
I feel like I would be like the benevolent stepmom that like the actual mother would be jealous of because like the kids would really love me because
Okay.
I'm like a good
So
person.
you're Julia Roberts,
What movie is that?
stepmom.
Oh, I've never seen that movie. Okay, so I don't know the reference.
Julia Roberts versus Susan Sarandon, who is my queen.
Oh, okay. I gotta watch it.
Yeah. How old were you when you made that decision?
I was, mid 30, like 30. I don't know the exact age.
But
probably.
like you were definitely in an age where you were kind of like, I gotta start deciding.
Yeah. I was like, I was thinking about doing it, and then I was like, I remember where I was. I was at the beach. I was sitting on the bench on a bench in Long Beach, reading about climate change, and I was like, oh, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do this. That's when I made the decision.
Yeah.
Just sitting there and it was like, yeah, I'll be okay. I will be okay if I make that decision. I will not suffer. I could love any child that doesn't, emerge from my womb. So I'm fine to make this decision. And a lot of people make the decision because they don't want to have children at all. And that all of these choices are good choices.
Yeah. How did it feel to make that call though?
I didn't feel any grief.
Yeah?
No, I didn't. I think what I realized was that, like, I had the expectation that I would have, like, the average 2 kids, just because that's how I was raised and how everyone I knew was raised. And it was like, it's what you do.
Yeah.
But I also think that something happens psychologically where women, cishet women aren't really given that other option of not having kids as one among, several options. It's like, well, that's what we're supposed to do. That's
Like,
why we're here.
Get one somehow. I don't know, adopt, steal it, but like,
Right, you gotta have one.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that I somehow, I never really fell into that kind of, like, this is inevitable. This is definitely, my future. So that's why I think I didn't feel the guilt.
Okay.
Or sadness, or grief, or whatever.
I know that can be like a really difficult, decision for various people, and especially when not when it's not like, oh, like I'm 20, I've decided this, but rather like you're at an age where you feel like you biologically have to make that decision soon, otherwise the decision will be taken from you, like biologically in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I had several abortions, and I didn't feel guilty at all. Like I don't have. I mean, I wasn't raised to feel guilt about those things, right? So
Your hippie head shop owning parents.
exactly,
Yeah.
Precisely.
Well,
they weren't like encouraging me to go out and have some abortions.
They're like sad you're not a lesbian. Right? They're just like, all right, we thought we raised her right, but okay.
They're not those kind of hippies. I wish they were cool like that. I just didn't like, I had my first abortion when I lost my virginity.
Okay.
And got pregnant and had an abortion. That was a fun experience.
Is that high school, college?
College,
Okay.
sophomore year of college. Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
that-
but even what?
No.
Yeah, but even that, like, I didn't feel grief or sadness. I just felt fear. It was like, oh shit, I have to have an operation.
Okay. So you were just fear of like the similar thing that people have just when they go to a doctor, like, I gotta go to the doctor.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to go under and have anesthesia and feel uncomfortable and, all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Did you get any like roadblocks or pushback at all from that?
From who?
From the first one, whether it was from the father or, I mean, it sounds like your parents were like,
he was
fucking what?
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I didn't tell my parents right away. Actually, I think I felt. I don't fully understand why I didn't tell them right away. But yeah, no, my boyfriend at the time, who I love, I waited until I was a sophomore in college to lose my virginity. So, we were in love, and he was great about it. He was really good about it. Yeah, and he was Irish Catholic, and he was great about it.
And just for the young men possibly listening.
Yes.
And why am I qualifying? For any of the men listening.
Yes.
How was he good about it?
Yeah. He went with me to Planned Parenthood when I got my official test, although I already knew that I was pregnant, from a home test. And he, took me paid for it, took me to the abortion clinic. brought me roses. But he and my friends came too. Two of my friends joined us as well. I had so much support. Like I've been thinking about this so much over the last couple of years, and especially since Roe was overturned. How lucky I was that time to have just so much love and support around me, which not everybody has.
Right.
And
there's also a lot of guys who I think they think if I just say, okay, they think that was being good about it. And I'm like, that was neutral. And I was like, guys, go give her a ride. Bring a I brought up someone to get an IUD last year that I was seeing. She was like, can you come pick me up? Last minute, I'm like, of course. And then like, I stopped. I got her strawberries because she likes strawberries. I got her flowers. I got her chocolate. It's like, because I know she's going to be in pain. I'm like, let's get right.
That
like,
is exactly the way to do
above.
it.
Do a little fucking extra,
go above.
people.
Go above.
Yeah.
Go above. Yeah. Just be really, really kind and supportive and listen and say, what can I do for you? And if they don't have anything, then just bring something that it sounds
show
nice.
that you thought about, even if you got the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It shows like I wanted to get the right thing. I'm just stupid.
Right.
Which they'll be like, oh, that's
Right.
You'll
exactly.
get points for trying.
We'll appreciate that.
Do you have any? What is your current relationship status?
So I'm currently single.
Currently single?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you mingling, or be like,
I am
not right now?
Between COVID and the monkeypox, I am not mingling very much right now. I don't feel like I'm suffering.
You're like, I have all these eco-friendly-ish vibrators.
I do. I have a shit ton of eco-friendly.
I have a bunch of all-natural lubes.
Yeah.
I got all the things to take care.
Like during the time that I was writing the book and then the years afterwards, I got sent a ton of beautiful, beautiful sex toys. Some of which are still boxed because like I never got around to them. So yes.
Like my second motor bunny that people resent me for.
You have two?
I have two. I have one that I've used, and then they've actually given me three, but the third one I auctioned off at the Brooklyn Sex Expo.
Oh,
years ago.
Really?
Yeah. The second one's still in
Which
the
year was
box.
that? I wonder if I was there.
2019.
Oh, I was
had a
totally
booth.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I need something I would definitely like get emails and all that shit.
I was on a Stormy Daniels tour bus, which was parked in the. I don't know if you noticed that she was parked in the parking lot there. We did a podcast in her on her tour bus.
I did not notice. I was like in such a whirlwind. I was just because I was like operating a booth by myself. I was like crazy.
Right.
But no, I have two, and one's still in a box. But I keep it. I haven't sold it. I haven't given it because I was like, I have this fancy something I would love to do with a partner one day when we're maybe like on vacation and not in an apartment where you can rumble an entire building.
Right. I know they're very noisy.
I would love to do like a dueling banjos. It's like, no, I'll be riding one, you ride one, we'll get each other's remotes. Do a little of that. I don't know. It's one day.
Yeah, that's
I've
a
got two
great
motor
dream
bunnies.
to have.
So right now you feel you're not suffering. You're not wanting
No, I'm not suffering. I mean, I without revealing too much of my private life, like, I'm not out there dating, but I have someone, so I'm
okay.
So, yeah.
You've got that need.
I've got that. That's all taken care of.
There's a phone number.
Yes.
There's a phone number.
Yes.
Because I did see when I was like looking you up, like you are one of the earlier people who was writing about non-monogamy on the internet. I found like your old Huffington Post column, and you had a bunch of these articles about non-monogamy. From a time period when people didn't even know that was a fucking word.
Yeah. I was one of the early people to talk about that. Not because I actually don't personally identify as a non-monogamy, adherent. Okay. But
an adherent, like it's Christianity.
I'm like more of a serial monogamist, I would say.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I was just very interested as a journalist and a sexuality, person fascinated with sexuality, a sex writer, which is what I became after I wrote Ecosex. It kind of led into this, little kind of like mini career as a sex writer that I never expected to have, writing columns, and non-monogamy was one of the first topics that I was really excited to explore. I read Sex at Dawn and I was like, oh my God, holy shit. Like, when everybody was reading that in like 2010 or 11, whenever it came out.
When everyone started reading it but didn't finish it.
Right. I
That
finished
one?
it.
Yeah, I feel about Sex at Dawn the way I feel about Infinity Jest. Like, see someone on the train reading it, I'm like, stop pretending like you're gonna finish. That's not happening.
Right. Like you can get the gist in the first 20 pages, right?
Yo, Sex at Dawn is dense as shit.
So yeah, so I was, very, very interested in that culture and felt as if people who participated in it were sort of like more evolved than I was. And I was like, wow.
What was your fascination with non-monogamy, and what are those feelings of like, could I do this whole thing differently?
I mean, I think it was just the whole like getting over jealousy thing that I was so fascinated by. And, I was less taken by the theory that, we were meant to be non-monogamous because of, our, genetic predisposition to it and, and bonobos and all of that. Like, I found that really interesting. I didn't necessarily buy it, but I was really interested in the way that people processed it psychologically and that they felt that, I don't know, that they just like possessed so much love that they wanted to share it. Mm-hmm. I found that notion really beautiful, like that their love was sort of like an ever expanding sea, and they wanted to share it with everybody.
An infinite resource.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And most people don't think of love that way, and certainly not sex.
And so did you like analyze like your views on jealousy? Because again, jealousy, like everyone, non-monogamous people, we experience jealousy too. It's just like, we talk about it and we don't make that stop us from having fun at the thing. What did you learn about yourself in reading and writing about that?
Yes, that's such a great question. I learned that I don't think that I'm really jealous the way a lot of women, cishet women, are kind of trained to be jealous, as if it is a finite resource, like, like this whole like market of relationships. I never bought that. Like, like you have to, we have to sell ourselves. I mean, like even like, pre-dating dating sites, right? Like I realize that if I do possess jealousy, my jealousy is it's like an animalistic kind of jealousy. Like if I'm walking down the street with my partner that I'm sleeping with and I see a woman look at him, I'm like, I'll cut you, bitch. Because I mount that man.
Okay.
That's basically this visceral thing. It wouldn't be like if somebody were flirting with my partner, I wouldn't feel like, oh no, he's interested. And you know what I mean? It's an animal instinct. That's what I realized about the nature of what I guess I could call jealousy.
Do you catch yourself and kind of like tith yourself and just go, like, no, that was bad. The bad reaction.
I just sort of observe it. Like, I don't necessarily think it's bad. I think it's kind of intrinsic for me. It's just a natural thing.
I think when you are part of what is a default or a mainstream, like the predominant ideology, or I call monogamy a default because I think most people default into it. Because they didn't know there were other options.
Yes.
And it's, I've always said, hey, if you see and know all these options are valid and you still choose monogamy, God bless you. But
right.
I think most people choose, they fall into monogamy and they don't choose
right.
it. But so when you, identify as you do and then are researching and writing about this stuff, is any part of you thinking like, should I try?
I'll tell you. So like I've covered sex parties as a journalist. But as a
journalist,
no, but really, like
as opposed to me, a hobbyist.
Obvious, yeah. And had to go to like multiple parties for one particular story that I did, and have
you.
What? Right.
You. I had to go to all these fucking parties and
I covered this amazing poly wedding, like where it was just turned into a 24-hour sex party, like all of these things, and I feel so joyous when I'm around people like that. But I don't necessarily so here's an example, and I think it was maybe 2015. I was working on the story, and I was at this party, and I was, and it was going to be I was exploring my own experience there, right? So I could participate. I was covering it as a journalist, but there was no like, if I wanted to participate, I could participate.
Your editor was like, you don't have to participate, but like, really, please do it.
Whatever you feel like doing, do, basically. And I was newly dating someone at the time. And had just seen him, I think, like the night before, 2 nights before I went to this party. And that was an affirmation of myself as a serial monogamist, because I went to the party and was being, obviously it's a sex party, hit on a lot, very in a lovely, polite way, like as people do at sex parties, with like absolute consent and respect. Nothing was wrong with it, and approached by couples, and and I was like, you know what, I was just with my guy, and I don't want to. and that was like, for me, like, I was like, oh yeah, that's really who I am. I'm not like, I'm not telling myself a story. Like, this is who I am.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. How would you describe the ecosexuality movement beyond the environmentalism? The kind of in regards to like what Annie Sprinkle.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people know about that. Like, I follow Annie, I follow you, but like I couldn't name 5 ecosexuality educator people off the top of my head.
There aren't a lot of, I don't think that there are a lot of people who are really doing education around ecosexuality right now. But we're getting interest from like, documentarians, like about, the movement. So maybe there will be more of that. I think the movement is still, it's so young. I mean, it's like really barely 10 years old. So it's like still figuring out what it is. If people want to learn more about what it is, I would suggest that they read Annie and Beth's book, Assuming the Ecosexual Position, which just came out about a year ago. I think it came out last summer. Okay. Where they talk about their work, performance art that they do around ecosexuality. For me, it's becoming more of a so I all of these years of sex writing, I eventually decided during the pandemic that I would get credentialed to become a certified clinical sexologist. That's what I'm finishing up right now. And this goes back to the whole thing about like, people coming to me for advice. I was like, everybody is coming to me for advice. Like, even more than ever, I should really, have some credentials to back this up, and not just be like the lady who knows a lot about sex because she wrote about it. So
I'm supposed to be who's like the dude who knows a lot about sex because he won't shut the fuck up about it.
Exactly. But there is something to say about like those of us who are just super comfortable like with the subject. Like it's for people who aren't, it's it's eye-opening, right? Like it really can make them quite comfortable. I think.
Really not a complicated subject if you don't feel so fucking weird about it.
Yeah.
It's really the only thing I think that stands in most people's way.
Right. And I mean, precisely. And I think, I think the fact that like people like us who are, talk about it so casually and comfortably make space for the people who feel so weird about it, which is why this work is so important.
Yeah. It's also why yelling penis in a park is so much fun. I'll never lose that game.
But yeah, so anyway, so just to finish up, in my work, it's starting to become a tool that I can use potentially with clients, taking them on like sort of sense journeys that are eco-sex focused, to help, like Masters and Johnson sensate therapy, that kind of thing. But like people doing that on their own solo outside.
What does that look like?
It looks like, it depends on what your environment is. But like if you're, if you live near a beach, you go and like sit and feel your feet in the sand or lie on the sand, or and you take a journey through your 5 senses, like you sit with each one of them, and you could do this on the Hudson River, like on the pier there, like if that's what you have access to. And I've created ways for people to even do this like in the dead of winter if they're at home and they're like quarantined, because I started thinking about this during the pandemic, gathering materials when the weather is better, so you have them in your home.
Well, like gathering like twigs and stuff?
I mean, like literally like soil, sand from the beach. Stuff like that.
And what do they do with these things?
It could be as simple as like, if you're going on one of these sense journeys.
Okay.
Like if you have a box of soil, you put your hand in the soil, or if it's big enough, like you can stand in it. Like Japanese earthing, which is, do you know what that is? It's
I do not.
It's amazing. It's basically like standing outside and connecting to the earth through your feet. That's the simple version of it.
Okay.
And feeling like, the vibrations of the earth itself coming up through your body and healing you.
And how do you tie something like that into like someone's sexuality specifically?
Well, the journey that I developed, you first go through all of your senses, without adding the element of sexuality at all. And then you go through it again and you add bring this energy to your pelvis and see how that feels. Like, there are various ways to do it, but it's kind of like that. Notice if like standing by this tree and putting your hand on the bark of the tree, if you feel titillated or turned on by that in some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there something about nature that titillates you?
Yeah.
What?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Fucking what titillates you, Stefanie Weiss?
For me, it's the beach. I grew up on Long Island by the beach. I thank God, because the only decent thing about Long Island, the only reason it's an okay place to live. And yeah, no, I mean, for me, it's just like my feet in the ocean, and closing my eyes and just being there, like I feel it in my entire body, like not just, I allow it to come up from my feet, and just sort of like rise up through my entire body, through all my chakras, to my pinkies and like, above my head. And I feel connected to the entire world when I'm doing that.
That's pretty
like
powerful.
The whole fucking universe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you have a similar stance on sex on the beach, or is sex on the beach very different from like feeling connected to the beach?
Sex on the beach is a very complicated thing because of sand.
Yeah.
It can be extremely uncomfortable.
That's what stuck out to me. You was like the sand, but I'm like, sand and sex seems like they don't really go together.
Yeah. No, I haven't done that in a very long time.
I don't think I've never had sex on a beach. And I'm like, it's one of those like few public sex things I feel like everyone talks about, but I'm like, I'm okay if like I've never done it.
Yeah.
I'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that you would probably have to take a break after that, for several weeks, because there would be erosion. I like, and I don't even think it will be that bad for me. I just think of the pain of like getting sand in a vagina I don't have. And it just sounds painful. Yeah.
So I'm like, no thanks.
It's not a fun situation at all.
None of that. No thanks.
No.
Stefanie, is there anything else like just before we go, like on a consumer level, I want to make sure we didn't miss anything. Is there anything else like people definitely should like leave this podcast and be like, that's a behavioral change I can do for our environment and for my body?
Yeah. I would say, I have a couple of pieces about this. So, there's a lot of detail that I probably couldn't go through, even in like in a minute
I'll
to
link
wrap
in the
up.
show notes.
What?
I'll link in the show notes so they can be further.
Yeah. I have a couple of pieces that I've written specifically about how to decide, if you want to get only sustainable sex toys going forward, how do you decide? What are the complications, before you make that decision? So that's definitely one way. I think that that's important. And I love one of the things that happened during the pandemic as well is like sex toy sales, like shot up and still, right? Really, there's like the market for sex toys is something else.
There's also something about seeing where this country's going that makes you go like, I don't think I need people.
Yeah.
You go like, a little fed up, especially y'all be like, men starting to get fed up. I get it.
Yeah. I think one thing that's happening, I used to hear a lot about like men being jealous of women's sex toys. I think that they're starting to get it more now and feel like, oh, that's okay. That's not competition for me.
Yeah.
In relationships. So that's an important thing because they're, as this market kind of floods and more people are making toys, it's important to make good decisions about what you buy and who you support. And the lube thing as well. I think those are probably the two key things, that we can do as consumers. You can also choose to like buy bamboo bed sheets, there's a whole litany, my book is like soup to nuts, courtship to consummation, all the different things you can do.
No, it
Choosing,
seems like
makeup and, and the clothing that you wear, anything that, you're doing to arouse a potential partner, making sure that's environmentally friendly also.
Yeah. And it sounds like your book is like the go-to book to go to if I want to go, learn more about ecosexuality and be more environmentally friendly with my fuck life.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the whole recycling sex toy stuff. I did, and I don't know. I'm curious your thought on this. I had on last year someone who owns a sex toy shop out in the Bay Area.
Which one?
Fillmore.
Okay.
And then they will take, if people can bring their old sex toys and they'll clean them and resell them used. How do you feel about reselling used sex toys?
I mean, I think
would you buy
I
a used
personally
sex
would
toy?
not buy one. However, not the right person to ask because, as I said, I have a closet full of unopened boxes of sex toys that
But
I've
you could put yourself in that
gifted.
space and think I wouldn't, because it feels very grimy. I don't care how much you cleaned it.
I don't think that I would. I don't think that I would. I think that what I would do is, as I said before, I would make sure any new toy that I would buy would be, top quality, long lasting, rechargeable, that I would not feel like I needed to buy another one for a long time, unless I needed a completely different kind of stimulation, and then I would go through the whole process again to buy that other, they would each serve a purpose.
Absolutely.
But I'll say this, if the proprietors of a good Bay Area sex shop are doing this, they know better than I do.
Okay.
I'm just the eco-sex lady, they sell sex toys. So I would trust them and that they would, if you're going to buy a refurbished iPhone, right? I guess it's okay to do that.
But Stefanie, this was great. Where can people go to find more of you and your work and get your book, which is Ecosex, Go Green Between the Sheets and Make Your Love Life Sustainable?
Yeah. So the book came out a good 10, 12 years ago now, forever ago.
You have also a lot of books, not even just about ecosexuality.
I've written 9 books. Yeah. I'm also an astrologer, which we didn't even touch on. I write 11 sex horoscopes.
If you want to talk another 10 minutes about that, we could do a little bonus episode. I don't know.
Sure.
All right.
Why
Patreon
not?
people to hear that tomorrow.
Okay.
But for now, where can people find you?
So my website is StefanieIrisWeiss.com. It's a mouthful. And Stefanie is spelled with an F, not a PH. So everybody's always confused. So S is in Sam, T is in Tom, E, F is in Fran, ANIE, Iris like the flower, WEI, Sam.com. That's my site. That's the same handle on Instagram. My Twitter is Ecosexuality. And those are the places to find me right now. And I'm much more active on Twitter than I am anywhere else. I just started a TikTok. It's embarrassing because it's there are 3 little crappy videos on there. But that's also Stefanie Iris Weiss. If you want to go there and make fun of me, please feel free.
Be nice. Thank you for inviting me to Spark. I didn't even know the Spark was here, so it's nice to know that this is here. I feel like this is going to be very key on a date sometime for me.
Oh yeah, it's a great
I'm
date
gonna know
park.
this. I'm gonna look fucking awesome.
Oh my God, you will be a winner.
When you could pull a small little park like this out of your back pocket, they're like,
it's like a secret park.
Yeah, they're like, you must be cool.
Yeah, and it's affiliated with the church, by the way. So even better.
Yeah, it's like knowing that it's like knowing that tiny park up in the Upper West Side. That's it's literally like a block. It's an empty building corridor, and they just turned it into a park. It's technically the smallest park in New York City.
Where is that? I don't know that.
It's up in the West 70s. I'd have to look it up, but it's this tiny little. It's like this strip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very fun. All right, well, Patreon people, we're going to talk a little about astrology. But for now, Stefanie, why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye, everyone.
Before you go, hang tight real quick. Do you got a second? Because I'm gonna tease some of the bonus episode. I'm gonna tease some astrology sex stuff at the end of this little part right here. If you just hang tight, you don't gotta go nowhere just yet. What are you, in a rush? Before you go, I would love to know what you thought about this week's episode, and so would your fellow fan whores. Join us in the Champagne Room. Pop by the episode discussion channel. Let us know what you thought about Stefanie. Let us know what you thought about monkeypox and good luck, Leo Grand. Hey, let us know what you think about the topics of ecosexuality, marrying fire, and how we can be a little bit more environmentally conscious when we're trying to get off. Introduce yourself in the Champagne Room today and share your thoughts at manwhorepod.com/Discord. And if you want to send something to me directly, maybe you have a whole lot of thoughts. Maybe you need some advice. Maybe you got a question. You can send any and all of that over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. And I am posting again on the flans, on the Monly mans, on the Pelosi fans. I know not all of you are. That's okay. But I am posting up there again. Oh, God, I just posted a great video coming on my own face. The splash is refreshing. It's like going to the beach but staying at home. Both are just as salty. But I am posting content up over there, and you can check that stuff out at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. Oh, I gotta start doing yoga again. My back is fucked up. Ever since the breakup with Wallet Note Lady, I've like fallen off my yoga game. So much so that I feel like my booty's popping too much, like scoliosis style, and I feel like I'm losing an inch and a half on my height. Someone was like, "You're 5'10". I was like, "Yeah, I'm 5'10". And then I had to like tuck my ass in and roll my shoulders back and pick my head up. And then she was like, "Oh, okay, I see it now." I'm like, "Oh no, that's not good. We gotta get things back in alignment." I don't know why I have a need to tell you all that, but that's just what I'm feeling in my body as I walk naked around. Well, I'm not naked in my room. I'm wearing moccasins, but otherwise. Ooh, okay, I gotta get this body right and body tight. Folks, I'm gonna play a little teaser of my bonus episode with Stefanie. It's coming out tomorrow exclusively on Patreon. All of my $5 and up members will have access to it at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Enjoy this little extra bit with me and Stefanie Weiss. Stay home if you're feeling a little sick. That headache could be the pox. But if you're feeling good and you don't have any sort of weird sores going on and your body ain't aching, stay slutty. And what's going on with Geminis right now?
What's going on with Geminis right now? Oh, shit. You guys have something coming up. Mars, the planet of passion and energy and sort of like pure animal instinct, that's Mars, is moving into Gemini, oh, God, in about a little under 6 weeks. But Mars is going to be, so Mars spends typically 6 weeks in each sign and then moves on to the next one. But Mars is going to be retrograding. You hear about Mercury retrograde all the time. Mars will be retrograding in Gemini a couple of months later. So it's going to end up spending like more than 6 months in Gemini, an extra long time, giving Gemini all of those things that I mentioned before. So like, you know, passion, animal kind of drive, which can be a little exhausting.
Is it a little more sex centered? Is that love centered?
Yes.
Can it be love?
Mars is really more sex than love.
Oh, okay. Damn. I mean, okay, fine.
Yeah, sorry.
So it's okay. No, there's a one, but it's fine.